Hello everyone, and we will be adding and subtracting signed numbers. And here are the rules for that. When adding signed numbers, and the signed numbers are the same sign. So, for example, if you have, a positive number plus a positive number, the answer will be a positive number. If you have a negative number plus a negative number, your answer will be negative. So when you have the same sign and you're adding, your answer will be the same sign as the numbers you're adding. Let's do some examples. We have a 4 plus 5. That is equal to 9. Is a positive 4 plus a positive 5 is equal to just a regular positive 9. We can do a 2 plus 12. Positive 2 plus a positive 12, and that's going to equal 14. Same thing goes for negatives. We can have a negative 4 plus a negative 5, and that's going to equal negative 9. So we're adding the same numbers. We're adding the numbers of 4 and 5, regular, same old addition. 4 plus 5 will be 9, and since it's negative and negative here, it's going to be negative 9 here. If we have a negative 3 plus a negative 7, that's going to equal negative 10. So this is pretty straightforward. When adding and their signs are the same, the answer will be the same sign as the numbers you're adding. When adding numbers that have different signs, the answer is the difference between the numbers. And the larger number's sign is the sign of the answer. So what I'm saying is this. Here we're going to add two numbers where the signs are not the same. They're different signs. This is a negative 5, and then this is just a positive 6. We will have to find the difference between them. So it's pretty much a 6 minus 5. The difference between 6 and 5 is just 1. So that's the answer. It's 1. And then the number, the larger number, the sign of the larger number, to be exact, will determine the sign of the answer. We have 5 and we have 6. The 5 have a negative beside it. The 6 is positive. So since 6, we know 6 is larger than 5. Typically, it's larger than 5. That is going to determine that we have a positive 1 because it's a positive 6. Here's another example. Same negative 5 plus a positive 4. So on the side, I'm just going to write this. I'm going to find the difference between these numbers. And so the difference between 4 and 5 is basically 5 minus 4. And that is 1. But in this case, 5, generally speaking, 5 is larger than 4, right? So because we have a negative beside the 5, that is going to determine the sign of the answer. It's going to be negative. And then the difference, which we had found here, the difference between 5 and 4 is 1. And that's the answer. I'll do another one. 7 plus a negative 9. What does that equal? Well, just by looking at this, the 9, since 9 is typically larger than 7, or naturally larger than 7, the 9 tells us it's going to be negative because the sign of the larger number determines the sign of the answer. And then what's the difference between 7 and 9? I'll just write it over here on the side. You don't really have to do this. This is just to really show you and illustrate what's going on. Well, 9 minus 7 is 2. That's the difference between 9 and 7. So the answer is 2. The difference between 9 and 7 is 2. And this 9 determines the sign of the answer. Here's another example. We have a 10 plus a negative 3. 10 plus negative 3. Just by looking at this, I know the 10 holds weight, so to speak. The 10 is bigger, bigger than 3. So I know that 10 is going to be the one to determine the answer's sign. And the 10 is positive, so I know it's positive here. And now what's the difference between 10 and 3? Then we just look, okay, what's the difference between 10 and 3? I know the difference between 10 and 3 is 7. Therefore, that's the answer. So this is the addition of sign numbers where the signs are opposites. They're not the same sign. Now let's go on to subtraction of sign numbers. And what are the rules around that? The way the subtraction of sign numbers work is we have to change the sign from subtraction to addition, and then change the sign of that second number to its opposite sign. Then we do the addition rules from there. So what I'm saying is this. Here we have a 2 minus a negative 3. So the rule is this. We're going to change from subtraction to addition. So now it's addition. And then change the sign of the second number to the opposite sign. In this case, it was negative, so now it's positive. And now we apply the addition rules. And in this case, we have an addition rule of same signs because this is positive and this is positive. And remember the rule in addition? When the signs are the same, your answer is going to be the same as the two numbers you're adding, and then you just add regularly, and that is 5. Let's look at a 6 minus 5. Right? If you think about it, if you really think about it, okay, this is straightforward. We can say, oh, the answer is 1, 6 minus 5. But if we apply the subtraction rule on sign numbers, we can look at it as a positive 6 minus a positive 5. And let's apply the rules. So I change the negative or the minus into a plus. And then remember, this is a positive 5, so now it's a negative 5. And then when you think about it now, it's an addition of opposite signs. An addition of opposite signs, you find the difference between them, and then the sign of the larger number determines the sign of your answer. So since 6 is larger, it's going to be a positive answer, and the difference between them, 6 and 5, is 1. Now Yeah, I didn't have to go through all of this because it was just straightforward 6 minus 5. But I just, I just applied the subtraction rule just to really show you how it works. Um, let's go into more. Right, that's all I have right here. Okay, let's do a little more examples. So if we have a negative 6 minus a negative 5, what does that equal to? Well, the subtraction rule is we change the sign from subtraction to addition. We change the sign of the second number to its opposite sign. Well, we have negative here, so now it's positive. And now we apply the addition rules. In the addition rules, what we have now is an addition. What we have now is an addition of opposite signs. And that rule is, remember, the larger number determines the sign of the answer. Here's a 6 with a negative beside it. Here's a 5, which is pretty much positive. So that 6 is going to tell us the sign of the answer. And then what's the difference between 6 and 5? It's a 1, right? It's 6 minus 5 is 1. So it's a difference of 1. So that's the answer. Another example would be negative 8 minus 3. Well, we can look at it like this. We're going to change the minus sign into a positive, a plus, sorry. I'd rather say it plus. And remember, this is a positive 3. Now it's a negative 3. And now we look at it in terms of the addition rule. And here we have an addition of two numbers that are the same sign. Now remember, that rule is we're going to keep the sign. Remember, we're definitely going to keep the sign because it's a negative plus a negative, so our answer is negative. And then we just add as usually, and that's 11 because the 8 plus 3 is 11. So it's a negative 8 plus a negative 3. So you see how we went from subtraction, converted to addition, and then we apply the addition rule. I'll do one more. We have a 7 minus a negative 5. Well, here's a subtraction of sign numbers. We're going to turn that to an addition. And then this sign, we're going to turn it into its opposite sign. And so now we have a 7, positive 7, plus a positive 5. So this is going to equal just a straight up 12. It's 7 plus 5, which is 12. So, this is it, really. Sometimes you may, and don't get confused, you may see things written with parentheses. I'm going to revisit this one here. You may see something like this, and is written like that, and then you might be wondering, but yeah, it's the same thing. It's a 7 minus a negative 5, and the same rules apply. We're going to turn it to a plus, and we're going to write the opposite sign. And now, look, we have a 7, positive 7, plus a positive 5, which will just end up being a 12. So don't get confused and all that, especially when you start seeing parentheses. And that is all for now. I will be making more examples in the future. And